It's Lisa from Been There, Got Out. We are now really live with Trevor Crow. Just waiting for everyone to come on, and hopefully she'll do it. This is her first real Instagram live interview, so I'm excited to be the one to host her. So Trevor and I just met a couple of weeks ago, and here she is. Let me get her on right away. Great. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's get right to it. I was just saying how we just met a few weeks ago, and you said that you're running for state senator and you're actually running for Alex Kasser's seat. But I figured, give me a little more about your background or tell our people about it, because when I first heard it, I was like, oh no, none of our people would be in your office. So what's your background?
Well, so I have been a practicing marriage and family therapist in private practice for 15 years. So I have had the honor to help many couples, families, and individuals get some pretty rough moments. And of course, I'm very well aware of coercive control and domestic violence and what emotional, verbal abuse looks like, along with physical abuse. So I loved watching Alex Kasser at her job. She did so many good things, and I know there's a lot more to be done. And I have is involved with politics and affairs. And
Oh, wait. Sorry, Trevor. I don't know if it's the connection. You're a little bit choppy.
hold on. Let me just make sure
Okay.
that let's see. My Wi-Fi looks okay.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Okay. So actually ran for tax collector last year in the Greenwich. It wasn't my top desire, but it was sort of in preparation. And I feel like the universe came around and said, you know what, this particular this District 36 state Senate seat, my party came to me and said, we really need somebody to run. And you guys remember Alex resigned very suddenly last year. We lost in a special election. There were barely 20,000 people who voted. It was just really unfortunate. And now the seat has gone to far right Republican who really have already against women's reproductive rights. It's going to be scary, and it's just really sad. It's like Amy Coney Barrett after Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you know.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so Trevor, I don't know if it's just me and maybe Chris, you can let me know, but I feel like Trevor's volume is like crackling. Is it just me? Like, can you guys hear properly, or is it just mine?
I just increased my volume. Is that helpful?
Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I just felt like it was a little choppy. Like every fifth word, it was kind of cutting off.
Yeah. Is that better?
Keep talking.
Okay.
All right. So you had said, after Ruth Bader Ginsburg to have Amy Coney Barrett, that's like, ugh.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this way, I feel like there's a parallel. After Alex Kasser, we've now got this guy named Ryan Fazio, and he's not going to be supporting these kinds of laws or reforms. And yeah, so I
Yeah.
have been really excited about running. I've talked to so many people. This is an area of concern you and I started talking about, which is family court reform. I haven't spoken about it very much, and it's not on my platform, and it's something that I need to learn about. And I want to see much better laws. And it kills me to watch what happens in the courts, the alienation and the coercion, and spouses getting dragged back into court again and again, just financial abuse that way, court abuse, etc. So there's a lot of work we have to do. And when I'm elected, I will get to work for you guys.
Oh, I'm so glad. Okay, so tell us why it's so important to have someone like you in office versus somebody else, other than like people not even paying attention to these issues, because I feel like this issue doesn't affect many people, and the ones that hear about it completely don't get it.
Goes right over their heads. Well,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to say it's just women, but of course it feels like there's many more women getting abused in this way, because let's be honest, men tend to be better off financially in our society. But I want to say very carefully and clearly, I have clients who are men who are equally abused, both financially, verbally, emotionally. So this is not just a gendered thing, but we have to figure out a better way, because this is ridiculous and everybody is hurt in this system. The children are not doing better. Again, I have a lot of single moms who are just in terrible pain. And it goes on for years, years.
I know. I know. I mean, for me, I'm in my 8th year and I have a trial tomorrow.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about Roe versus Wade. I know when we talked recently, you were saying this affects everyone. Like how?
Well, it's been a long, slow chipping away at our reproductive freedom. And over time, many states now where you can't get, well, Texas, for example, you can't get an abortion after 6 weeks. A lot of women don't even know they're pregnant. Um, and then what they did in Texas, which is really pernicious, they allowed sort of vigilantes to go after women or providers or anybody who might have even driven somebody to get an abortion. And it is a really scary law, and it's not easy to get around this law. It's actually set up in this thought process that isn't through the court system in the way that we're used to. So it's like a brand new kind of walk around of what we're used to. At the same time, the Christian ultra right has been going after abortion rights since the late 70s, and bit by bit they've been stacking the courts. And here we are today. We had a decision date today. They just struck down New York versus a firearms rule, which will impact us in Connecticut, even though we have great gun rights here, but allowed guns to be used in public without much regulation at all. They interpreted the Second Amendment even stronger. So this is bad for us, even though we have very strong gun laws. Next week, there's going to be another decision day. I expect Roe v. Wade to fall. When that happens, it's literally chaos. 36 million women lose their rights, their reproductive rights, not be able to access abortion. There's like a trigger law. I'm not sure how many states, but 36 million women, unbelievable. And 1 out of 4 women in the United States chooses to have an abortion per year. 1 out of 4 women in their lifetime.
Yeah. Wow.
So this is a medical right. No, Mitch McConnell should not be in your OBGYN appointment, nor should Kavanaugh or even Amy Coney Barrett. None of those people should be in there talking to you and your doctor about your choices and what you need. So that's one level. This is all based on the 14th Amendment. Once that goes, contraceptives, which is a right to privacy, it's Griswold versus Connecticut, same-sex marriages, interracial marriages. This is what the ultra-conservative white Christian want to change. And they've been going after the Supreme Court for decades. They've been in it for the long run, and they're close to getting what they want. So
Yeah, and that makes that it's terrifying. It's almost unreal, and it's making me think of like Handmaid's Tale. Uh,
absolutely.
right?
Amy Atwood, what's her name? Anne. Wait, I'm forgetting her first name, but she's literally
Margaret.
Margaret.
Margaret Atwood. Yeah, the author. Yeah, I love her.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Who, when she wrote that, and I remember reading it, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago, I was like, that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
right?
Not so much.
I know. I know. It's really terrifying, like these science fiction-ish books that are now becoming reality.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
that concerns me most, especially because we're in Connecticut and we are a blue state. We also take our rights for granted. And even this past legislative session, we had our Reproductive Freedom Rights Act that was passed. Ryan Fazio voted against it. This Defense Act, is basically to say those vigilantes from Texas cannot come in to Connecticut and arrest somebody trying to get an abortion or providing an abortion. Remember that all it takes is one governor. We could end up with Stefanowski and a few more Ryan Fazios, and we are not that state anymore. We cannot take it for granted, and we have to get out the vote. We have to vote blue. And here's the other kind of twist to the Roe v. Wade. So Connecticut codified Roe v. Wade about 30 years ago. that can be struck down again if you have a Stefanowski who's a Republican and a few more Ryan Fazios. What we actually need to do, we need to make a constitutional amendment. And that takes a supermajority of Democrats. And if I got elected and we could maintain what we have, I would be the supermajority. So it's important.
Yeah, yeah. I know we talked about the term chipping away, and yeah, I think you touched on like being complacent about our laws, sort of taking things for granted, right?
Yes, I'm very concerned about that.
Yeah. So, for example, like well, actually, I started thinking of another thing that we were going to talk about. Like a lot of things are being chipped away and we don't even realize it because we take it for granted as society. We think that someone else is going to take care of it. Or like you said, if we already have these rights, like it's forever, but it's not, because you mentioned like, even though we've had this for 30 years, it can be chipped away little by little. And you talked about how the Roe v. Wade will start chipping away at contraception as well, right?
This is about controlling women. It's nothing else. And the minute that we do not have autonomy over our body, we become second-class citizens.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Trevor, you're crackling a little bit again. You weren't where whatever you were doing before was fine, and now maybe it's coming back to that beautiful starburst behind your head.
Here we go. Let me try something else. Okay, let's see if is that helpful.
Let's see. It sounds real helpful.
Okay.
Okay. Another thing that I thought was really interesting that you said during our last conversation was that period trackers can be dangerous. And I know that we've been focusing a lot on surveillance and spying and security lately with some of the experts we interview. Talk about how period trackers could be dangerous.
Oh yeah, this is really creepy. Okay, so this goes back to Handmaid's Tale. So many of us use these trackers. I did. I don't need it anymore, but a lot of people do just because it feels like, okay, good. So I understand where I'm at and when I'm fertile, etc. However, that information is being sold, and it could be sold to one of those vigilantes. It could be sold to other people who really do not have your best interest at heart. And again, if there's a whole group of people wanting to make sure that you don't get an abortion, and they're tracking you, you're not going to be able to leave the state that you may need to leave. Say, just imagine your daughter goes to, I don't know, school down in Texas, and she needs to come home for an abortion, and somebody's tracking her. It may not be so easy for her to get home to get an abortion, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know one of our attorney friends in California had gotten a question during one of his lives from a client saying, well, if I'm pregnant, how does that affect custody? And he said it doesn't. While you're pregnant, you could still leave the state. But now you're saying with these period trackers, somebody could, I mean, that also might change the laws, right?
Yes. Yep. And what's more, a couple of the trackers are owned by these super white Christian guys.
Oh boy. So these are things like I would never think about that with a period tracker.
Yeah, no, it is really scary and creepy and odd. And I have literally told like my daughter and her girl group there, she's 25. I'm like, please get off those things, erase your data, just stay far away. And yeah.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
My biggest concern is Connecticut voters vote. If you've got any friends or Democrats, just everybody really hold hands and vote, because we have a very bad track record as Dems in a midterm. The Republicans pretty much show up en masse all the time. Democrats in a presidential show up great. We all 99%, very high. But in midterms, we're barely 60%.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I'm feeling like I better get more on the ball with this stuff.
Yeah.
So thanks for the reminder. All right. So speaking of that, we also talked about I loved how you said, ask people what, if they had a wish list of what you could take back to the Capitol, how we ourselves could help make the family court system better. So I had put a thing out this morning, like if you could create a law, I didn't just say family court stuff, but of course, people focused on that. Like what would be a good idea to make the court system better, to reform it? And so one of the things, so I'm going to give you a couple of things that maybe we talked about and also some new ones. So one of the people said that she feels like every time there's some kind of police report or domestic violence incident filed, that professionals outside, not just judges and custody values, but people who are trained in domestic violence should get involved. And that even though there could be a chance that it could be manipulated by an abuser, at least there's people who should be able to get it and recognize it, rather than having someone come into court and often deal with a judge who's never been educated on coercive control and might not recognize all the other things, especially emotional and psychological abuse, that are at play, especially when we have children's safety at risk. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing.
Huge, huge. And we're constantly being trained as a licensed marriage and family therapist. I don't believe I'm a mandated reporter at this time, but when I do have something going on where I feel that I need to ask the question, are there any firearms in your home? I do. And I asked that question about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I absolutely feel that this could be added to our mandated reporter status, that we ask the question, and that could address to a degree what your person is saying.
Yeah, because usually the question, the answer that we get a lot of times is judges should be trained on coercive control. Lawyers should be trained on coercive control. But I was just talking to a couple of lawyers recently, and they're like, we don't have acts, like we don't know anything about this kind of training. I actually talked to a lawyer recently in California who was saying that he has like some awful clients. He's like, I'd love to learn how to know if someone's going to be like a terrible client, like if I'm going to get an abuser, because in the beginning they're so manipulative and charming. He goes, and then we end up with these monsters. Like, how do we know? You know, so they're not. So I was thinking, oh, we got to come up with a class.
Yeah, no, and I do think that that would be something that would be worthwhile. It's sort of add to the course of the Jennifer's Law, which is getting the court system, whether it's attorneys, whoever's involved, touching the client, having a program of just education. This is what it looks like. This is, and there's really classic behaviors. We both know them, right? Love bombing, you know, devaluing, discarding.
Exactly.
We all know, and we can, once you are aware of it, can start noticing it. Or DARVO, right? Deny, attack, and reverse victim offender. You know,
yes.
Once you're aware of it, you're like, oh my God, that's what I'm looking at, right? But it's not until you're given that education. So I would absolutely be in support of finding a way to have funds to support those in the entire system of judges, attorneys, therapists, GALs, everybody is involved.
Yeah. So here's another one. Perjury should actually be punishable. I know on every single one of those financial affidavits, because like I said, I have trial tomorrow and we always have to fill them out every single month. It says, like, if you are knowingly putting false things on the record, it could be a criminal, you know, a criminal event, and nothing ever happens.
Yeah. No.
I feel like by putting this here and having zero consequences, it's actually emboldening people, just like lack of enforcement of orders, because they know nothing's going to happen to me. Family courts are overburdened and overwhelmed, so no one's going to do anything. So I could just lie about whatever and nothing's going to happen. What do you think of that?
Again, same thing. And I mean, we need more funding for the whole family court system so that this stuff doesn't slip through the cracks. There are consequences for lying or perjuring. There are consequences for not paying your child support or not showing up for your child on time. Whatever it is, that there's the courts are not so burdened as they are right now. I mean, it's horrifying. It's awful what happens to families here in Connecticut. And again,
I know it's inexcusable. Like, you know, especially because we have more resources than other states, so it is inexcusable. Yeah. All right, so and we'll keep coming up with more ideas. Those are the main ones, though. But let's talk about now, what can people do on a daily basis to affect real change? I know vote, certainly. But is there other things? Because people in other states often say, well, you're lucky because Connecticut has coercive control laws, but what about me? What about the 45 other states? Mm-hmm. So they're saying, what can we do to make it happen in our state? What do you recommend?
All of the advocacy organizing groups, educating one another, even creating like Moms Demand Action. You know, they started small and now they're a national organization. So I think the more of us who have experienced this sort of behaviors from spouses get more vocal and talk about it. Now, I'm very concerned about the Amber Heard situation where, you know, an abuser can go after the abusee with defamation, which is truly despicable. And a part of me is just, my heart hurts for that situation. And again, those who are abused now are going to be silenced. So there's some, I believe in the collective power of us coming together, speaking the, advocating for other states to make it more widely available. I mean, it's so early in Connecticut. I'm not even sure the law's been applied. I don't even know if it's gone to trial yet anywhere. It's literally brand new. So are you aware of it?
Sorry, Trevor, you're crackling out a little bit again. Oh, and I think you just froze for a second. Uh-oh. Oh no. Can you hear me now? It just froze for a second.
Yes,
Okay, so the law, you were saying about Jennifer's law, or was there something else? A different law?
Jennifer's law has it been applied in court, and what's been the outcome? I'm unaware of anything that happened yet regarding it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely people have been saying that they're using Jennifer's law and there is progress, but it is still so early because it just went into effect in October of last year. And Connecticut judges, I believe, have 120 days to make a decision. So we know these things take time.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably too soon to tell how effective it is.
Yeah. So this is, you know, we're literally in process now. And as stuff comes through, I really want to hear it. You keep me up to date too, because I have a lot to learn. And, you know, and again, if there's something that I can do when I'm elected to support that law, to grow it, to expand and make sure that people are educated, happy to introduce whatever has to be done to support it.
All right, well, that's excellent. It's always nice to have allies in high places.
Yeah, vote for me.
Yeah. Okay. So, so Trevor, how can people find out more about you?
Yes.
Or how can they reach you? I don't want our clients to go to you for marital therapy, though. No offense.
It's all right. So Trevor for Senate, and it's FOR, Trevor for Senate, .com. You can find me there. I am in need of more donors from my area, which is all of Stamford, all of Greenwich, and all of New Canaan. I need 6 more, and they don't have to be large dollars. It can be $5, $10. It's just head count that's really kind of keeping me. It's to match for the state matching grant, I need 300. And I just need 60 more. So I made a lot of progress. We're just not finished yet. So that's my number one need. If you want to volunteer, we're going to need help knocking on doors, on calling or phone banking, on texting, on writing postcards. We're going to have a big team. So if you want to get involved, on my website, there's a volunteer button. Just sign up and we'll call you. We are needing the help for sure.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Trevor, for coming on. I think we finished in time. I know you only had half an hour, and I'll vote and I will donate and definitely pass the word on. And thanks again so much.
Thank you for the work you do.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. Talk soon and we'll stay in touch.
Okay, bye.
Bye.